Now here's a quick entertaining one about a mom who ended up kicking her daughter out, who's 23 years old, after she certainly crossed the line with her. And you're going to see in this story how the gal has a freaking spoiled brat meltdown over this whole thing, and how certainly the mother was warranted in all this. But you're also going to see how the mother didn't certainly help the situation by not laying down the law with the girl growing up. Title: Am I the a-hole for kicking out my daughter? No, you're not. So I, 38-year-old female, have a daughter who's 23. 38-year-old female with a daughter who's 23. Unless she typed that wrong, means she gave birth to the child at 15 years old. Okay, so you had a kid raising a kid. She's always been an outgoing girl growing up, and she always dreamt of traveling the world. Mind you, as a kid, she never cleaned up after herself. Her room was always a mess. Dirty dishes along with mold that grew inside of them. Why are there dishes in her bedroom unless she eats in her room privately and just lets them pile up? That's when you lay down the law, Mom. You're not going to have TV. You're not going to have cell phone. You're not going to have this. Not going to have that until you clean your shit up. I never saw her room clean unless I cleaned it. Well, that's the problem. I always got on to her about that, but she didn't listen. She acted like she was going to clean her room, yet never did. Partially, I feel like that it's my fault for not getting on her harder. Well, that was your fault, but she's also just a little a-hole kid. After she moved out, she did not go to college, which I have no problem with since she wanted to go to different countries. How is she going to pay to go to different countries? How is she going to prepare herself for the world and provide for herself if she's not pursuing college or a trade or something? Just go to different countries. Who's paying for that? You can see the bad parenting here. During the winter of 2022, she decided to go to Honduras for the whole winter. Again, who paid for that? She saved up enough money herself. Okay, she got a job. Anyway, she came back in May. Since she has nowhere to stay, I, as her mom, told her she can come live with me, of course. All of my bedrooms were filled since I have other kids as well as stepkids. Her stepsister, who's 17, told her she can sleep in her room since they had a close relationship. My daughter immediately moved all her stuff into my stepdaughter's room, and soon it became overwhelming for my stepdaughter, as she had a lot of things that crowded her room. My stepdaughter has also kept her room straight and never had too much cluttered. Soon after she moved in, she basically went back to her old ways. She left dishes in there, leaving them for my stepdaughter to clean up, and the room was constantly a mess because of her. Well, there you go. People don't change, and she knows darn well Mom is going to clean up after her, or somebody's going to clean up after her. My stepdaughter was upset because of it, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings. Well, the hell with her feelings. Stepdaughter's feelings or her own daughter's feelings? I'm assuming she means her own daughter's feelings. She wasn't working, and she barely took showers. It was disgusting since she walked around everywhere barefoot. And I mean to stores, restaurants, etc. Restaurant? What is this, the fucking Flintstones? So I see where my stepdaughter's coming from, because I wouldn't want someone sleeping in my room being that dirty. She also constantly left my house a mess and disrespected my rules. Then kick her out. She's 23 years old. She's acting like a disrespectful little asshole. You made your mistakes raising her. Absolutely, we can see that. And this is why it's so important parents lay down the law with their kids, or you have what you have today in so many degrees. Kick her out. She can find a fucking job. My rules were simple. Clean up after yourself, keep your room clean, and help with the chores. She did none. I had enough after 2 months and told her she can no longer live with me, and she needs to clean herself stuff out by the weekend. She was livid, screaming at me, telling me she had nowhere to go except for her friends. Then you should have been respectful. You should have helped out. You shouldn't have been a freaking slob acting like you own the place, being so entitled. Too bad. I wasn't going to leave her on the street, obviously, but she wasn't going to stay in my house. I had a few people she could live with and told her her options. Oh, so those people will then hate you. She left my house with none of her stuff, so I cleaned up my stepdaughter's room and put everything in trash bags. I set them on the porch, and she told me she needs to come back and get everything before it gets thrown out. She came by and picked up all her stuff and left, and she hasn't talked to me since. So am I the a-hole? Please give me feedback. I'm unsure of what to do in this situation. You're not the a-hole for what you did. You are the a-hole for how you raised her, but not by cleaning up her room when you told her to. If she wasn't going to clean up her room and be a big giant slob disrespecting you in her house, you should have said again, no TV, no cell phones, no going out, no this, until you get your act together. I guarantee you, either she would get her act together or she wouldn't, and then you just be like, well, you can be out of here then. But this is ridiculous. She's a grown legal adult, and she's not listening to your rules and all that. Tough shit. You got some tough love, Mom. This problem is nowadays that nobody lays down the law with their kids. They want to be their buddy, or they're too busy looking at their own social media and getting attention themselves to parent. As an update, I read your comments and within 2 hours of this being posted. Thank you for your feedback. I also should say that I raised her to be clean and respectful of others. Well, and you did a piss poor job of that. But she never listened. I grew up where everything was clean no matter what, and I made sure my house was like that. The only times her room was clean growing up was when I cleaned it. And that's the problem. Of course, I got into her about cleaning up after herself, but I guess I didn't get into her hard enough. When she moved out, I thought that for sure she would learn to keep her place clean because it's her living space. I was only at her apartment once or twice, and each time it seemed picked up. So when she was living on her own, the place was clean, but at your place, not because she knows you'll clean up. Given this, I expected her to be better when I told her that she could live back home with me. I'm going to have an intervention with her instead of throwing her out, and I hope she listens. I'll make another update later tonight afterwards. She finally agreed to talk to me, and I'll be taking your guys' advice. Thank you. So I will see how this whole thing turns out. But I flip a coin. Either the girl is going to get her act together or she won't. And if she doesn't get her act together, goodbye. And by the way, she mentioned she had her own place before with me, and she obviously had money to go to Honduras. So this girl can work. This girl can get a place, etc., etc. This is a perfect example showing what happens when you're not a good parent, when you don't lay down the law with your kids. And people may not like hearing that. And I've talked to a lot of parents that talk about their kids, and their kids are certainly behaving in a way that they're spoiled or immature. And the parents are always like, I know they're acting that way. And it's like, well, if you know, then do something about it. They want to be popular. They want their kid to like them. They want to be the cool parent. And they just simply, so many don't have any business being parents. So good job for her kicking her out. She did absolutely every right. And if she doesn't get her act together this time, again, it'll still be all on her. We shall see.